It's been a momentous occasion after many years of effort, in fact, many decades of efforts. The Women's Reservation Bill is finally a reality. It has been passed by overwhelming numbers, both in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. And to talk more about this and more, I'm joined by none other than Hardeep Singh Puri, Union Minister for Housing, Urban Affairs, Petroleum and more. Sir, thanks a lot for your time and for speaking to CNN News 18 again. I want to understand from you, while this is a momentous occasion, and of course this is a bill that many parties tried to bring in the past and it just wasn't successful. Why was it important for the BJP-led government, the Narendra Modi-led government to bring it now and to make it a reality?
First of all, thank you for having me on your show. You know, there is a time when an idea can fructify into reality. It's not just a BJP-led government. There are some givens which I think some people are not understanding. There is a freeze on the delimitation process till 2026.
Yes.
That's why we needed to have a new parliament, because in 2026 the size of the number of political Lok Sabha constituencies is likely to go up. But it can't be done before 2026. There is a freeze on it. You cannot redo the constituencies till you have a census. So we need a census. Then we need the delimitation freeze to be over. And then you can make a determination. So whether this bill had come in 2014 or 2012, it could only take effect after, because it says first census. After that, we have not had any census since 2011. So after 2011, there was no question of this thing, a next census. Okay, you could have done it on the basis of 2011 census if the Congress government had. They didn't. They passed a bill in the Rajya Sabha, took it to the Lok Sabha, showed no commitment and no desire to push it forward. No, there were difficulties. There were difficulties in the India-US civilian nuclear energy agreement also. The Prime Minister was willing to stake the future and survival of his government just to get that legislation passed. But he was not showing the same commitment when it came to the Women's Reservation Bill. So that's one point. Second point, in the 9 years that the Honorable Prime Minister has been head of government, he has done a lot of things for women-centered development. Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, Shauchala Banana, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, Malikana Haq in the name of the women in the family, gas cylinders from 14 crores to 32 crores, Ujjwala 9 crores 60 lakhs, what he has done for the street vendors, Redi Patri Wale, 42 lakhs Labhartis, 41% of them are ladies, women. So they've done a lot for that. Secondly, once this narrative is clear, you don't want to bring this in till you are confident of getting it through. So today he was 100% sure, and this is proved. Aap ne kaha that passed almost unanimously. In the Lok Sabha, there were on one aspect, two votes against, but unanimous. In the Lok Sabha finally and in the Rajya Sabha. And what does that mean? So it means that women-led development is now a part of the Indian reality. And both in the Lok Sabha and in the state assemblies, you will have 33.3% reservation, which means political parties, civil society, everybody will prepare themselves. And the global experience has shown, if you have women-led development and you have women in responsible decision-making roles, GDP goes up by 30% to 50%. And a host of other things happen. And I think, I'm not saying it to you just to congratulate you, I think every Indian is rejoicing and should rejoice even more. Somebody asked me, what was witnessed in the party headquarters this morning. So I said, my friend, this is the beginning. You'll see in the coming months, down to the urban local bodies, down to the Gram Panchayat, down to the villages, in bigger cities, that celebration, not just on women's empowerment, this is more. You are going to get women-led development. Some of my friends will be saying, yaar, ye thoda zyada ho gaya, nahi, hamara. Kuch nahi hota. Men will benefit. By the way, I've been a supporter of women-led development for at least 50 years now. So I know what this is about. I'm very clear. By the way, I also had a bit of a role to play in the establishment of the UN entity, UN Women. So I think it's a matter of great joy that this very fundamental revolutionary reform which was yesterday enacted, finally first in the Lok Sabha, then in the Rajya Sabha.
Well, you're also leading a lot of the schemes, the flagship schemes
There
of
are
the
many
government.
of them in my ministry.
Yes,
I
which
mean,
benefit women on ground.
and they're benefiting. You see the clips from the beneficiaries. You know the difference it makes to a family. Abhi piche in Delhi there was an EWS scheme for housing, and the Honorable Prime Minister was asking this gentleman, seemed to be from Bengal, and he and his wife, he said, आप यहाँ पे informal colony में कितने साल रहे? Said 42 साल. आपको कैसे महसूस होता है? आपके कितने बच्चे? I have one daughter. She studies English honors in Delhi University. It's a complete change of life. Complete change of life. It's one thing to live in a JJ colony or an informal settlement in a, I don't use the word slum, and then to have a pakka home, a roof over your head, shauchalaya, rasoi, gas cylinder. It's a completely new beginning.
I'll come to the gas cylinder in just a bit, but the Congress says, including their former chief Sonia Gandhi, who led at one time the UPA mission to pass the Women's Reservation Bill, she has said, of course, that this is effectively their bill. It is the brainchild of Rajiv Gandhi, in fact, his government.
I am so happy that they're taking credit for it, because nobody wants to deny them the credit. All that we say कि आप इस चीज को लाए, पर आप इसको end तक, तौर तक नहीं ले जा पाए. That's all we are saying. And Modi ji है, तो मुमकिन है. He is something. Look, the bill that was brought to the from the Rajya Sabha, transmitted, look, lapsed in 2014. One of them got up and said, ये तो हमारा बिल, ये आपका बिल नहीं है. आपने कोशिश की थी, आपको सफलता नहीं मिली. ये मोदी जी की है. Modi ji brought in all the women-centered development, and he's resurrected that bill with changes. And today it's seen the light of day.
So one of the changes which the Congress party is, still today Rahul Gandhi has talked about is that the OBC quota is not there. And he has talked about that, yes, during their time also possibly they should have pushed for it. Yes, it was not there in their bill also. But the Congress party plus the India Alliance bloc parties are saying that the BJP with your kind of majority possibly could have done this too.
Madam, it's entirely possible that Shri Rahul Gandhi ji's statements are being written by NGOs. And it's entirely possible that the NGOs are not reading the Constitution. The Constitution as it presently stands has no provision
for OBC reservation.
It has for general category and for SCs and STs, scheduled caste, that is the caste listed in the schedule, and scheduled tribes so listed. Agar OBC ka hota, why would we not bring it? And we are not saying we don't want to, but do you want to delay this bill further in order till we can bring in the OBC thing? The OBC reservation of panchayats came from the state action, and for others like in the civil services after the Mandal agitation in VP Singh's time. So all that can happen in the fullness of time. So I think the Congress should be well advised, encouraged to take credit and admit that something that they started but failed on, Modi ji succeeded in taking that to its logical conclusion.
Well, you mentioned the Mandal Commission. I do want to ask you, because you've been a bureaucrat, yourself. Rahul Gandhi has talked about and has made this allegation against the government that out of 90 government secretaries, there are only 3 OBC secretaries.
First of all, it's not correct. First of all, it's not correct. I don't know where he's got the figure from. I tried to check. I think it's, I shouldn't use the word, but it's not correct. I'll confine myself to a milder term. Second thing, I think the Honorable Home Minister gave a brilliant answer. He said कि secretary पता नहीं कितने OBC के, पर एक बात बताओ, अगर OBC के लिए कोई provision ही नहीं है, अगर OBC का होगा भी तो आपको पता कहाँ से लगेगा? The IAS people had just one, regular recruit or SC ST. When I joined the foreign service, those are the categories. Now after a particular time, OBC thing came, but those that happened later, they are not even due for empanelment as secretary, or maybe they will become due. So I think Mr. Rahul Gandhi, just as he probably is not aware of the fact, and the NGO didn't, I don't blame Mr. Gandhi, he's a very, very nice person, but the NGO which was writing his speech forgot to read the Constitution. Similarly, on these 3 secretaries, where has he got it from? I don't know. I can tell you, when I was a secretary to the government, and I don't want to say it because it will just add fuel to the fire, I knew where all the secretaries came from. So ये गलत बात है, ये गलत बात है. और today we are all in a happy, rejoicing, celebratory mood because the Honorable Prime Minister has delivered on one of the most important pieces of legislation through a constitutional amendment, which will be a plus for Indian society, not just for women, but for Indian society.
But sir, there are some speculations that this might not become applicable even by 2029. We
Why
don't
not?
know who will come into power in 2024.
No,
but,
2024,
you know,
I don't have any doubts, but if the Congress party or somebody else is eyeing power and they don't have confidence on themselves from bringing it in before 2029, I have nothing to do. I think they should
because the
introspect.
delimitation process and the census process takes a lot of
No,
time.
census will be, the census has been delayed rightly. We are operating on the 2011 because we were in a not just economically but physical lockdown situation. Look, I was civil aviation minister, I know this. I mean, movements are not possible. We were bringing in people from Vande Bharat from outside. So there is a delay on the census, but census will see the light of day very soon. Then the freeze on delimitation will be lifted by 2026, and then you can make a determination of which of those seats will come, and it will be implemented both for the state assemblies and the...
So you're hopeful that by 2029...
I'm not hopeful, I'm 100% sure. I'm not just hopeful, I'm being much more...
Regardless of whose government it is in 2024.
Yeah, absolutely, because the pressure from down, under, and I'm even more sure because I'm sure it will be a BJP government.
Okay, but you talked about rejoicing. I do want to ask you, recently the government slashed the cylinder prices and it was done on Raksha Bandhan, and it was a gift of sorts to the mothers and the sisters of the country by the Prime Minister and your government. But in many states, if you see the ones going to elections as well, the governments, including BJP governments, are offering even less. For example, BJP is offering 450 rupees cylinder now in Madhya Pradesh, which is going to polls. In Rajasthan, Congress gives it at 500. They're making similar promises in other states. Are you also going to maybe reduce it a little bit more and give more joy to women?
I am not going to speculate. This was a very far-sighted and a very sensitive decision by a Prime Minister, all of whose schemes have our daughters, sisters and mothers in mind, taken on the equation of Raksha Bandhan. Okay? This was one of many decisions he took. One is that for the beneficiaries of Ujjwala, who were already getting 200 rupees into their accounts, DBT, there will be another 200 reduction, they get 400. For the others, there will be 200 reduction. And I think it was welcomed by everybody. He also decided that another 75 lakh connections, cylinder connections would be given to beneficiaries. So, some people want to do more, taking advantage of others. I'm not going to comment on that. Okay? All I would say is, especially for the non-BJP states, you know, cut your cloth according to, you know, what is the expression? Cut your cloth according to what you have available. Something to that.
उतने ही पैर फैलाइए जितने
वो आपका expression बिल्कुल सही है. Because you require resources. Even when we were not giving this 200 rupee reduction on the cylinder, we were still running up an 8,000, 9,000 crore subsidy on Ujjwala every year, because there is a subsidy for carriage to far-flung areas from the ports here. So I think ours is a government which walks the talk. We have a situation in which, Shivani ji, 80 crore people were and are being fed 3 meals of dry ration in a day, even when we were navigating our way through the pandemic. And that's continuing.
But what do you make of these promises that are being made? And increasingly,
No,
this was termed reverie politics by the BJP, but even BJP is offering
No, BJP doesn't do reverie. BJP doesn't do reverie politics for 2 reasons. Most BJP states would make a statement or put an offer on the table provided they have the finances for it. That is what is proved by the petrol and diesel price reduction. Central government on 2 occasions, Honorable Prime Minister reduced the central excise. You also had a situation where the BJP ruled states reduced the VAT, non-BJP states didn't. So what happens? You have an 11 rupees differential in the price of petroleum between West Bengal and some other state, BJP ruled state. 8-9 rupees differential between diesel price in a non-BJP state and a BJP state. By and large, I think, BJP states tend to be more responsible in terms of fiscal discipline and in terms of overall discipline. I'm using my words carefully. I mean, if you are in electoral politics, there's a tendency everywhere. But you know, a BJP ruled state also has to look over its shoulder and see what's happening in Delhi in terms of maintaining the price line.
Okay. I do want to take your opinion also on the other burning issue that we are witnessing in India these days, and as in your experience as a former diplomat as well, what do you make of the kind of allegations that Canada has made? And of course, India has responded to it, but you know, this is a very sensitive issue for India. The Khalistani movement is a very sensitive issue for India.
No, I'll tell you very clearly up front. First of all, this is an issue which is firmly in the domain of the Ministry of External Affairs.
Yes, sure.
The official spokesman, JSXP, Arindam Bagchi, had a very detailed press conference yesterday. I think it took questions from every journalist, took supplementary questions, and he's answered all that. As far as I'm concerned, this is an MEA thing. But I'll tell you, you use the word allegation. 1 minute. Allegation is very different from evidence. Okay, let's put it at that. I'm sure the MEA will deal with it. As far as I'm concerned, there is no question of compromising on issues of terror. I've chaired the UN Counter-Terrorism Committee, and all this business about you being soft on one terrorist, you know, can't get a definition because one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. This is all a lot of so and so. Today, as far as we are concerned, there are people who are fugitives, who are in violation of our law, etc. The government will deal with this properly.
But do you feel that there is a concern for India that as it rises, there are inimical forces?
Are you telling me that there will be people envious and jealous? Of course there will be. But I think India is capable of handling it. I mean, the fact that the Prime Minister in India played the unifier in a deeply divided world and you got the G20 outcome that you did speaks volumes for the maturity of the leadership.
But there is a sense in India that now that the Kashmir issue is no longer the burning issue, a lot of the forces are using the Khalistan issue to, you know, drive some wedge between communities in India. How do you see that? Because you fought an election from Punjab as well.
No, I fought an election from Punjab. I'm very familiar with Punjab. I go there at least once or twice every month. There's nothing to worry on that count. Our people are mature. And more than that, I think for anyone to believe that outside forces with a little bit of funding of nutcases can create social or divide here, I think it's their imagination being allowed to run riot. Okay. Thank you.
All right. On that note, thanks a lot for speaking to us, and many congratulations once again.
Once again to you also and to your viewers, especially all our lady viewers. Heartiest congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.